So Alan Dershowitz is going to be one of Donald Trump's attorneys defending him in the impeachment proceedings. He is pretending like he's not an attorney for Donald Trump. He is also pretending that he's not advocating for his client. He's just done an assessment of the Constitution. And that assessment of the Constitution is that you cannot impeach someone for simply an abuse of power if they're president. You just can't do it. You need a crime now, or you need some type of law breaking. He's ignoring the fact that the Government Accountability Office has said that it was illegal for Trump to withhold, to freeze that money in the way in which he did. Now, to be fair, that's just a civil violation. It's not a criminal one. So he's not committing necessarily what we would call a crime. He's doing something that's unlawful. With that said, there were no laws. There was no criminal code when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution. So it's impossible for them to have been contemplating a crime in the way that it is defined. There is no such thing as a technical crime. We have laws. We have criminal laws. You either broke the law or you did not. There's no technical crime. When people say you got off because of a technicality, that is basically saying that the procedure in which you were arrested and charged with the crime was incorrect, was poorly, the process was off, and that's why you get away. But there is no, you don't get snagged because of a technicality in the law. You're not technically supposed to kill somebody. All right, here is Alan Dershowitz. Now, the sad thing for Alan Dershowitz is that in addition to, the allegations against him with Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, we don't know. In addition to the fact that he has perfect sex, according to him, he also loves to make love to the camera. And so there's voluminous video record of this guy saying stuff about impeachment the last time around. And now people are raising that to him. Here he is on CNN with Anderson Cooper and Jeffrey Toobin.
So let's just not talk about hypothetical. I want to go back. Previously, you said it doesn't have to be a crime if the person in office completely corrupts the office of president and who abuses trust and poses a great danger to our liberty. That is impeachable. Now you're saying criminal-like. So you're not. So corrupting the office of the president. Is that in your criminal light or criminal-like?
No, no, it's not.
So
and that was rejected. That was rejected by the framers.
So you were wrong. You're saying you were wrong back then.
I was saying that I'm much more correct right now, having done all the research, because that's the issue. Let me explain. Please don't shut me off. You have 2 against 1 here. Let me make my point.
No, I'm not on anyone's side. I'm trying to understand rationally what you're saying.
I did not. Well, listen, maybe you'll understand if you listen.
God.
I didn't do research back then. I relied on what professors said because. Please let me finish, because that issue was not presented in the Clinton impeachment. Everybody knew that he was charged with a crime. The issue is whether it was a hard crime. Now the issue is whether a crime or criminal-like behavior is required. I've done all the research.
Okay, so you didn't do the research
22 years
back then.
ago.
Got it.
I didn't do the research back then because that wasn't an issue. I've done the research now. I wasn't wrong. I am just far more correct now than I was then. I said you didn't need a technical crime back then, but I still don't think you need a technical crime. And I think your viewers are entitled to hear my argument without 2 bullies jumping on everything I say and trying to pinpoint and nitpick on what I said. Let's talk about what the issues are.
Oh, God.
Let me just say this before we talk about this. The idea that everybody's mad at him at Martha's Vineyard is horribly upsetting to me, and I'm just reminded every time I'm going to use this. I'm more correct now. I was not wrong then. I was just more correct now.
It's like a more sophisticated Trump, like it's his lingo, but more sophisticated, like through a legal lens.
It's the exact same. I refuse to admit that I was wrong, even if it helps me now in my, I was mistaken. I'm more correct now. I was so correct then. I was the most correct. I thought I was the most correct. And then I turned it up to 11 and I found out that I could go get more correct.
You know what's so frustrating about this? Just as a side note, CNN props him up.
Yeah.
I remember in 2017, if let's remember, he's defending Trump right now, or officially or not unofficially, whatever. He's defending Trump. But in 2017, in February, when Keith Ellison was running against Tom Perez, they used Alan Dershowitz as their surrogate on CNN to trump up charges of anti-Semitism in the final hours against Keith Ellison. And they used that as a weapon. They sent out emails to all the DNC members on behalf of Alan Dershowitz. And Alan Dershowitz claimed, if Keith Ellison gets elected, I am leaving the Democratic Party. And Keith Ellison was not elected. And here he is, effectively...
He has been a cretin for decades.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned. But you're right. And I can tell you this, that people my parents' age are just sort of like, I can't believe what's going on with Alan Dershowitz. and this is part of the problem. Frankly, it's unrelated, but it's the same dynamic. This is why you do not promote never Trumpers who are Republicans just simply because they agree with you on the fact that Donald Trump is a horrible human being, which is not to say that you shouldn't make transpartisan alliances at times and et cetera, et cetera. But there should be a value. There should be a give and a get. There is no value to the constituency for Rick Wilson or Steve Schmidt or David Frum.
Ari Fleischer's my new fave.
Well, but Ari Fleischer, is he a never Trumper? Or I don't think he's quite a never Trumper. But I'm saying people have come out and there is no constituency for these people. They are delivering no one to the Democratic Party in any meaningful way. They're not going to provide enough votes in the areas that we need it to make any difference whatsoever. But what you're doing is you're communicating to people who aren't as savvy about the news as you might be, that these people are to be trusted. And so when they show up and they say, yes, we should attack Iran, or when they show up and they say, yes, we should cut Social Security, people are like, well, this is someone I've trusted. All of the mavens that I look to determine whether this is a legitimate news story or that's a legitimate messenger have told me that they're a legitimate messenger, so I'm going to assume that their message is correct. And that's the problem. And that's what you're talking about there too. The Democratic Party has trained the Democratic Party to believe that Alan Dershowitz knows what he's talking about because it was useful for them to use him to smear Keith Ellison with anti-Semitism.
And meanwhile, this man, after Epstein, before this, they continued to put him on air. It's mind-blowing. Even Jeffrey Toobin had his own sex scandal a few years ago in which he, it was a Me Too situation with an intern. These are the types of people that they continuously put on air, values, whatever things that they throw at us for not appearing on air. Oh, you had this thing, or you did that thing, or you said something ill of Hillary Clinton. They ignore all values when it comes to propping up the establishment. And it's not like he's, his ratings, maybe he's getting, strong ratings, but it's not like these people are telegenic and make the best arguments. At the end of the day, they're just reinforcing a bullshit narrative.
Yep. What's this?
I kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
Just so he can be on the record there.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make that clear. He kept his underwear during the massage. I actually am not a big fan of massages.
What?
But that's why I keep all of my clothes on and I don't get with them.
And haven't been linked to Jeffrey Epstein.
And I have no links to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I couldn't. I love these little Dershowitz clips.
What's going on with this?
Am I on mute? Yeah, there you go. As much as I love Dershowitz making a fool of himself, I couldn't stop thinking about why he's broadcasting from Miami and what he's doing there. Just the connections and everything.
All right. Well, let's move on to...